tonight's episode, Murder by the Numbers.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items we have, shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms, and we'll hook you up next time you order from our Gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for about an hour or so. And each night we have focus. Each night we do something on a topic. Our goal to go live every night is to accomplish some goals. We have agenda here, and so to accomplish that each night, I'm trying to adjust all my stuff here. Each night we have a different theme. So on Mondays, it's motivation, and it's how to be a Second Amendment activist, how to use the software and the tools, and how to work together with the community that we've got today in 2022. On Tuesdays, it's straight up 2A. We talk about Second Amendment focused on states, organizations, and individuals. On Wednesdays, we have a little fun. We talk about pop culture, guns in our society, and of course, we have our tactical quiz. On Thursdays, it's travel and training, two of the things that are pretty crucial and important, and things I dig most about being in the community. And then on Fridays, we look back at what other people have been doing for the week. We do this live. We do it live at midnight. My goal is to do an overnight show, sort of like what Art Bell used to do on the talking about werewolves and aliens and stuff, except talking about 2A and guns and stuff. So if you'd like to be part of that, consider subscribing to what we do. We have a Patreon account where we people give us a cup of coffee, maybe a lunch or something each month. And that accumulates, and it allows us to work on what we do instead of having to work on selling you things like new grip angles or red dots or anything else. So we appreciate that, and it's we're able to do shows like this one. So we do this live in the middle of the night for those reasons. It also lets us have the time slot to ourselves. We don't really have to worry about people going live at this hour, and we can go long term. So the goal would be to go long format each night, and we'll do that at some point. So for now, we're going to say hey to the people that are joining us live. We do it at midnight, like I say, so we'd appreciate the people that do stay up to listen to the show. Woods was the first one to jump in. Says, every week I have my guns is at least good, glass half full, because you think he's referring to our poll. Each week we have a poll, and it pretty much asks the same question at the beginning of the show. No votes for bad. So that's interesting. G23 is saying hey, and he was the first one. Second thumb up. I was letting everybody know Gizzard is going long. But Woods bought 50 State Book last week. Appreciate that. Thank you. And then Johnny is asking if we could touch on the Massachusetts case. No, I don't do that. I don't even know anything about it, for one, and I wouldn't be able to say nothing about it, and that's not what we do on this show. What we're doing here is we're saying we're focusing on what other people have done this week, focused on Second Amendment. So news shows and commentary and stuff like that is other people's realm, and analysis of politics is definitely other people's realm. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to offer much for that for you tonight. But let's see, we do the show on Friday nights. What we're doing effectively is reading the description of the video, because there's a whole bunch of links in here, and that's what we're essentially doing. However, the video description on YouTube is lame for a couple of reasons. It only gives us 5,000 characters, so I can't type everything I want in here, and I can't format it at all. So I have a couple of other places that we post this information, and that's a part of our goal. Part of our agenda here is to share this information with as many people as possible on as many platforms as we're able to. So we podcast it like we're doing right now, or I guess we're going live to talk about the stuff that we've accumulated throughout the week. Then talk about it, offer some commentary. We take the audio, turn that into a podcast. The video, of course, renders into a video. We put that video on a couple of different platforms. And then we'll post the description of this over on Substack and on our blog. So that's what we're going to go check out is Substack. We'll take a look at the news. Let's look at the blog again today. So I'm going to grab the blog. All right, so Roy's out there, and BH from NH, whoever that is, and then G23 is out there as well. So welcome everybody. Like I say, if I can get the thing to open here and go to the thing where the place is, then I can get this thing to open. And wait a minute. Okay, over here. Let's do this now. Put this here. This way we've got the poll right here. And over here, we'll zoom this open. We'll zoom this in. And when we check it out on our blog, we got some formatting. We got some actual links, and we put some images and stuff in there. So it makes it actually interesting to check out instead of being boring like the YouTube description. So essentially, we're going through the YouTube description of this video, but we're going to do it on the screen here on the blog, which is more interesting to look at. So this is the week of October 7th. That means Every Second Matters was this last week. Every Second Matters, of course, a campaign, an awareness campaign that's going on since 2013. And the goal is to do something for this to keep the awareness of the Second Amendment going through times when it's easy and times when it's boring. So when we're, well, we had AmmCon this weekend, or AmmCon and Grpc this weekend, so I didn't do it. Every Second Matters. I don't know if anybody else did. But there was other shows. I don't know if Gizzard did a show. But his show may have, I'm trying to get this thing in my face. I don't know if that's sounding good or not, but I don't really know if I like this any better. So I was adjusting my microphone here. I might just put this thing back on my head. I'm trying to hang this thing in front of my head. So give me some feedback if the audio is any better or worse, or if you can even tell. But I don't know if anybody had an Every Second Matters show, but there was some Every Second Matters posts. We'll talk about those. But like I said, we didn't do that because the Gun Rights Policy Conference was happening this weekend, or last weekend, I guess. From what we could tell, about 200 people attended, 150 people in the room. A little bit later on Sunday, we don't know for certain. The AmmCon was that same weekend, and that had about 30 people that attended. We had a PA rally this last weekend, I think, also, or during the week, and we were told that 300 people attended that one. Let's see, Every Second Matters, and then there's an Oregon Measure 114 that, what's his name? The dude that hangs out on Foss's show. He posted about that. And then we've got, I saw a post about UPS sending out stuff to FFLs that they're not going to be able to send things out to for repair. Like, you're not going to be able to send things out back and forth from repair through UPS. I don't know if I've seen that in the news anywhere. Then we got the victory in New York, the temporary restraining order granted for the GOA. So I rag on the GOA every once in a while for compromising, but you know what? They do things also all the time. So that's one of the things they did. We got Red October coming up. And since it's October, that's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So last month was suicide awareness. This month is domestic violence awareness. I've seen a couple of different things on the Instagram. I didn't do my Instagram show last week. I was going to do it this week, but I wasn't able to. So then we'll probably do something it'll be a long Instagram show, I guess, this week. Let's see. So that's sort of the bullet points for the week. That's what I'm going to call this beginning part as I start to do this more often. And I don't know, I didn't really write a summary for this week, mainly because I've been sort of busy. But, this is a week of, well, I guess it's a time of year for conclusions to campaigns and to projects and to kind of the year's worth of efforts in a lot of ways. Of course, we got the elections coming up and we've got more events and things coming up, but a lot of people are starting to wrap up, starting to get ready for Christmas and that kind of stuff. So, and we've got lots of cycles that we have to deal with and lots of motivation that's important to be aware of, like, self-motivation. That's nobody else is going to do that stuff for us. So just I'm throwing that out there. I also wanted to say happy birthday to, we don't do happy birthday days, we do happy birthday months around here. So happy birthday to a couple of people on the Gun Websites team. And also wanted to say thanks to the people that are supporting us, and just take a second to say it's a good time to, or good, maybe not this moment, depending on if they're sleeping or not, but next time you're around somebody that's important to you, give them a hug, shake their hand, let them know how you feel. We don't have anything guaranteed, not to get it too somber, but wanted to start out the show a little bit. Well, not quite start the show up, but mention that at the beginning of the show. Let's not take things for granted. And while we all have a lot of interests and ambitions and goals, let's also be aware of enjoying the ride. All right, with that, all that said, I'm going to go back to see what everybody's saying out here. There's a lot of conversation going on. Smeggy's out there. Good evening. Who was the best speaker at Grpc last weekend? That's a good question. I'll star that one and we'll get back to that one. No possession of arms in Massachusetts, licensing denial, something or other. It was something yesterday to the First Circuit, major case, way beyond anything. That's good to hear. I did one. It was mostly Grpc related. You're talking about a live chat. I think I remember seeing that. Misty, good evening. Ron Wayne, good evening. What state is everyone in? I'm in New Hampshire. Right on. Well, I appreciate it, BH. I'll put the star on your comment here. Like I say, I'm not really doing a live let's get together and complain about the news type of show, but we can see how long it goes tonight, and I'll answer some of these specific questions later on, or at least give you my 2 cents on them. But I don't live in Massachusetts. We did do a Massachusetts show last week, but I can tell you that's about my awareness of Massachusetts, and I was taking notes, but I was not absorbing it like some kind of a test or something. I don't live there, so I was only listening and being able to have a conversation, but I wasn't really trying to remember all the laws there. So but yeah, let's talk about the importance of various laws and stuff. That would actually be a super great discussion. But I'm going to dig in. So again, we have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. It's been a pretty good week. Tried to summarize it here. There's some news and stuff. I'll let other people deal with that, like I said. But when we know there's a rally going on, that's cool. There's some other stuff coming up. There's some decent events. The Rod of Iron Festival is coming up pretty quick, or else it's right now. There's TriggerCon. I already thought Gizzard was there. He'll be there tomorrow. I don't get it. I guess it's Friday and Saturday. I saw some people posting on Instagram about it this morning, so I guess I just assumed Gizzard was going to be up there for today. But we'll see people there, and that we've already seen, like, say, some stuff from there. We had the Grpc last weekend, and we'll see what the repercussions are from that. And I think I mentioned this, the Red October's coming up. We've got Clash Bash might be happening this weekend, and more shooting events. Actually, I've seen quite a few shooting events and haven't decided if it's, well, I'm not going to be able to do it myself, but I haven't even decided if it's worth trying to encourage someone to list all the shooting stuff, the shooting sports. You know, that's a major undertaking. I don't even know if the shooting sports keep track of their own calendars. That'd be a lot of effort. But on the other hand, it'd be really cool to see all the shooting sports stuff. So that being said, we're going to dig into the show. As I mentioned, there's the podcast. There's the Substack, if you want to read it over there. There's the blog, which is what we're looking at on the screen right now, the video itself, and then we have a newsletter. So if you'd rather get this kind of stuff in the email, that's the way to do that. All right, let's dig in. I try to put the 2A news up here towards the top. Then we get to the gun news, you know, the stuff that's less 2A and just more gun related, down towards the middle. And then we get into the radio shows that I think are worth listening to. And then those military interviews that I like listening to. I'm getting a lot out of those, really. And then at the end of the show, we'll talk about the stuff that we posted this week. So getting in here to the 2A stuff, I try to put it kind of in order of how 2A it is in the list, because this week was so good. It's tough because there's a lot of good stuff. So answer your questions. Full podcast of The Reload. So The Reload is this podcast. It's a blog and it's a newsletter all together. And it's this guy, and his deal is he worked somewhere, I think, and now he's often cited as an expert for gun research and as a guest when they have news shows and they're talking about gun topics. And I heard him say this, and I'm going to play it on this show because it has to be, I don't even know. This might be the best thing I heard all year. Definitely the first best thing we heard all week. So let's see if you can hear this.
Try and replace the NRAs. A number of things. Really, the legal realm, you've seen a lot of new, a lot of the gun rights groups have gone there. It's sort of the current fad is getting, filing your own lawsuits, which not a bad idea at this point in time, right? There's a lot of fertile ground for winning those cases right now. So it makes sense, and you don't need as much organization or money to get involved in that as you would to build a nationwide gun rights network that's actually influential across the country and on Capitol Hill. Those are much harder things to do and take a lot longer, especially when the NRA is still around. They're not going to want to cede ground to other groups, of course.
Yeah, go on. It takes them a little while. Can you hear? Do you hear that when it squeaks like that? I feel like I should probably oil my robot. Whatever. So that was one of the best things I heard all year, and I could have a whole show on that right there. I don't know if he understands how significant that is. Do you understand how significant that is? Let me play the good part of that again, which is really right here.
And while they might very well work with that, it's not.
Oh, wait.
It's still much.
It's right here.
A number of the things they do. Really, the legal realm, you've seen a lot of new, a lot of the gun rights groups have gone there. It's sort of the current fad is getting, filing your own lawsuits, which not a bad idea at this point in time, right? There's a lot of fertile ground for winning those cases right now. So it makes sense, and you don't need as much organization or money to get involved in that as you would to build a nationwide gun rights network that's actually influential across the country and on Capitol Hill.
Actually influential across the country and on Capitol Hill. So let's take a look real quick. Talking about stuff instead of not talking about stuff, we'll go over to Minuteman. I think I put this stuff on Minuteman already. What would I have called it? Oh, 2A organizations. 2A. Where did I put their money? Did I put a link to it in here? Funding. Nice. So here we go. This is the funding of the organizations that we know of today. Let's just use this one for example. since most people are familiar with most of these. We got FPC, that's this little guy. We got the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and Second Amendment Foundation, that's the same organization with two different branches. So you could stack their 2 million on top of their 4 million and have 6 million. But they spend a couple of million each year doing the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So Citizens Committee is effectively paying for the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and Second Amendment Foundation is doing all their lawsuits, right? So you've got FPC over here with about $1 million. You've got the Citizens Committee with 2 million. You've got the North American Sporting Goods Wholesalers, which is an organization of an industry organization, very, very tiny version of SHOT Show. Just put it in here because to show where our media organizations are, the Southeast Outdoors Press Association is not even negligible on this list. North American Sporting Goods Wholesalers is a tiny little SHOT Show. It's not really, I was thinking it was, it's not really a press association. It's just it's an industry organization. Little tiny SHOT Show though. But for comparison, it brings in $2 million. Second Amendment Foundation brings in 4. Gun Owners America brings in somewhere around 4 or 5. Nagar, I thought, brought in 6. They got all excited, then they brought in 12. They brought in $12 million. $12 million. Oh wait, nobody can fire me for saying that. So now FPC, how many lawsuits have FPC done? Now, is there this many more lawsuits over here? Is there this many more lawsuits over here? They can make as many lawsuits as they want because we don't know how much lawsuits cost, right? Does any of them post a list of how much their lawsuits cost and where their lawsuit money's going? So what this guy's saying right here is super relevant, super relevant.
Those you build a nationwide for winning those cases, right? Is getting, filing your own lawsuits, which not a bad idea at this point in time, right? There's a lot of fertile ground for winning those cases right now. So it makes sense, and you don't need as much organization or money to get involved in that as you would to build a nationwide gun rights network that's actually influential.
A lot of money. FPC has as many lawsuits as anybody I know. They put maps up and show us how many, 16 lawsuits or something with $1 million. If you take 1 million, you multiply it times 5, is there 60 lawsuits everywhere else? Is there more than 60 everywhere else? I'm just saying, man, be careful. Be careful. We can't become suckers, that's all. All right, next up is Brooke. Brooke always does good stuff. Last week she had Jake on, and they talked about Walk Talk America again. So Brooke does an effort each Saturday to have a focus on awareness and prevention of suicide. 2 out of every 3 firearms deaths are suicide. The other side uses those numbers, oblivious to the fact that they're talking about suicide. If we want to have more effective communication, more effective conversations with the other side and with our own side, we're better off to be comfortable and able to talk about suicide, both for our friends who need the talk, real talk about what's going on in the world, right? We can have that talk. Are you ready to have that talk? We can talk about cleaning. We can talk about barrel lengths. We talk stupid trigger shit. We talk about how your life's going, right? We've got friends out there. Let's, talk the talk. But then being able to have a conversation with an anti who wants to take our property with the suggestion that it's about lives. Well, let's talk about lives, and let's talk about saving lives. And Brooke gives us ways to have conversations and a consistent effort to keep that on people's minds and on people's conversations. Bravo for that. I always have it at the top of my list here. This week, she's focus is going to be on veterans, so that should be interesting. Next is David Yamane, the professor from one of the Carolinas. and he's got a paper or something, a talk that he's working on, and it's going to be a 6-point talk. Let's go over and look at that one. This might not be the shortest show ever, because I'm already half an hour in, and I'm linking to different things already. But this guy has been putting out a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of insight to his experiences. And he's got this paper he's doing where he's going to be presenting his research on firearms defensive use. And most of the time from his explanations, most of the time when he does these different, I don't know what to call them, peer things, most of the research is, of course, done on how guns are bad, how guns are a health epidemic, and that kind of thing. So he's often the only one offering an alternative, and his alternatives, can be interesting, I guess. So he's got 6 points to his presentation that he's going to be doing. And he gave us his introduction to those 6 points here. So we've got his first point is gun culture 2.0. And I think he even said like agreeing on gun culture 2.0, which is my major disagreement with him. I suggest we're probably in gun culture 20, not 2. We'd be way past 2 for sure. He thinks we're in our second gun culture, which we'll debate him about that eventually. He'll be on the show in November. We're interviewing him in November, and then we'll chat with him after that about gun culture 2.0. Then he says he's going to have one on the discounted need for guns of defense, which is kind of interesting. So this is how to understand the anti-gun person. Okay, think of that. So first off, the anti-gun person discounts the need for guns for self-defense. You got to deal with that. You don't have to agree with it. You just have to understand. Like if there's somebody that likes eating, I don't know, something you don't eat, something like beets or licorice or something, you understand they still eat licorice. They don't give a shit what you think. They're still eating licorice. So if you want to understand them, here's some things to understand. They think guns add risk and that they're irrational. And if they're irrational, why? And he calls this the true driver of gun ownership. Or no, they consider irrationality the true driver of gun ownership. And then they got this other thing, the coping mechanism, which is maladaptive. So it's really interesting. It sounds like it'll be an interesting perspective on how to think like an anti, or how to explain the anti's position on stuff. Then we got, coming up after that would be Locked and Loaded, did their conversation. They've been doing theirs less frequently, and more and more about video games and now the drones and stuff. So it's still an interesting conversation. I get a lot of my insight from their position, their point of view on the news. And since I'm listening to it on Sunday, it ends up I guess being my news for the week or something. Let's see. So then we get Medical Monday. Jaeger's daughter did a cool 5-minute, consumable message about mental health and the idea of normalizing and removing the stigma, which is pretty cool. And then a couple of days later, or yesterday, actually today, they dropped a video talking to Rhonda Ezel from Chicago Guns Matter. It's super awesome. And she was out there doing fighting pistol, which is even awesomer, because I'm always happy when seeing people do a fighting pistol. And yeah, it's a great conversation. And I didn't post it, but I was thinking about posting I'm gonna call them the Jaeger girls now, because all the daughters and American Gun Chick are going to start doing female classes, which is interesting because everything's different, right? Everybody does their own thing. We've got massive infrastructure and organization for females now, and doesn't matter, because there's still going to be people that are like, well, we're going to make ours. I don't give a crap what other people are doing. And that's valid, and that's the way it is. That's liberty. Individuals being free next to each other, right? In amongst each other. And it's super cool to pay attention to stuff and watch it, and that's what we're trying to offer here. All right, next up is Reason TV, and this is the video that instigated our conversation with Jim Irvine the other day with Smeggy and Night Strike. So I'd heard something, and I think it was in one of the testimonies somewhere earlier this year, and somebody had referenced or mentioned how the media spends more time and money, I guess, that on coverage of murders, especially murder with a gun or mass murders with a gun, than it does on the Super Bowl or political elections or national elections or the wars or any other kind of reporting, really. Super Bowl, I don't know if I said that one already. So they spend all this time and attention on firearms and then don't take any responsibility or any of the role for being responsible for copycats and what's the other word? People that are emulating, bad guys, people that are trying to become famous. So I had heard about that research and I wanted to find out about it. And I finally found this Reason video from a couple of days ago. And I watched it and it referenced some research on that same thing. So I don't know if it's the right research. I don't know if I've just been going so fast I haven't seen if Woods has said, or if somebody else who's paying attention, Smeggy or somebody has said, if that's the research if there's newer research or if this is the research that I've been looking for. But it was enough to start a conversation, and we invited a bunch of people, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But this is the video that started that conversation. It's worth listening to. It's a 10-minute video, and I don't know. I don't like it. I like that it gave me the link to the research I've been wanting to look at, but listening to this video is pretty lame. I don't know, it's probably just whoever works for Reason TV. But whoever that anchor is an idiot, and I didn't like it. Your mileage may vary. Feel free to have something else or have a different opinion. So next is Clover. I guess I forgot to ask. I think Gizzard and them. Yeah, I think Gizzard already posted that he's going to SHOT. So it's time to register for SHOT Show. If you're going to SHOT Show in January, they require you to register ahead of time. And now the registration is open. I think it'll close like in December or something. So you got a little while, but it's one of those things, you put it off, you don't think about it. And the next thing you know, it's really close to the deadline to register. So if you haven't registered before, Clover has a video over there. It's just 8 minutes long, but I think we're going to have more conversations. Actually, I forgot to schedule them. We are having more conversations. I forgot to put it in here, I think, but we had a couple of hours worth of conversation to kind of get the ball rolling, inviting people in who might be interested in attending SHOT. At least if you're interested in 2A, if you're doing, not interested, but if you're doing 2A content, if you're creating content that's specifically about Second Amendment stuff, if you're a member of the DC Project, if you're working with the state level organization, and they're too lazy or scared to go to SHOT Show, but you want to go, talk to somebody, because you can go to SHOT Show. There's lots of ways to get there. And again, this is the time to get ready and be creative if you want to get to SHOT Show. Not in December and definitely not in January. So if you're interested in going, there's lots of ways to go. Clover will show you how to go if you're doing gun stuff. And if you're doing specifically 2A stuff, I'll give you 18 years worth of experience. That being said, we got Tony was a guest over on Shooting Gallery New England, which is the gunsmith for Cape Gunworks. So that was a pretty fun show to listen to. They smoke cigars and talk about guns the whole time. Let's see. Then we got Every Second Matters, as I mentioned, Kingpin and RTAC. Now, if somebody else posted Every Second Matters stuff, let me know. That's the only two things I seen. But there might have been some stuff on Instagram. But those are the only two stuff I seen on YouTube. We had an overnight. In fact, we're going to be getting overnights every week until they run out of the Constitution, I guess. So the overnight decided to do the Declaration of Independence series. So they're going to be talking about the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution as a series every Saturday. Listen to that anytime you want on a Saturday evening. Overnight. I don't know what time it actually is. Honestly, it's 11 o'clock my time. So that must be 1 in the morning on the East Coast. But if you're awake like now and you're an overnighter or someone, pulling a shift in the evenings, one of the people that often get overlooked or ignored, then you got a show live during the middle of the night for you. So thanks to the people who listen in the middle of the night. We appreciate it. And Foss is another one of the shows that goes even later. Well, I'd go later than him before, but he goes later than this show on a regular basis. Let's see. Then we have Iron Road. Thanks. That's the one I could not remember. Iron Road had posted a video about that measure in Oregon. About you gun control stuff. Tell you what, I'm yawning too much, so I'm going to do a quick break here while I guzzle a bunch of coffee. And why don't we talk about that show that Clover and Tony and I do tomorrow on Saturday.
AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007. And since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
All right. The red eye. I probably should put something in there. There's Mario. Welcome. Am I missing anybody? I don't think I missed anybody else. I have not been catching up. Well, there's Gunmetal. Good evening. We're listening from work, I'm assuming. Let me go back, try to read some of these. Oh, Ron Wayne is out there. Good evening. Oh, you know what? I need to also, now that I'm thinking about it, I need to go over to the YouTube. And I gotta quit doing that. I need to go to the YouTube. And, well, I'm going to do this over here. I'm going to open up my studio. And, oh, I guess I should have done that in a new window. So, open this up. No. Open, come on, man. Open this up. Go back over here. Shove this back over here. Eventually. Come on, man. Open it. Boom. And then go to Super Chats. And get the super chats over here in such a way that we can say thanks to the super chatters this month. We do appreciate the people that throw super chats out there. And on Fridays, we do a random thank you to the super chatters. So let's see. There's only been 2 for October, so we'll probably include the Septembers in there because that's how we roll. So let's see. In September, I think I can show you this part without showing anything too much. There's 1, 2, starting with Mark. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 in September, and 1, 2, 19 altogether. So thanks to the super chats. So we got Ron Wayne jumping in there, Fielding, and a couple of starred stuff here, and Roy. So if I'm missing anybody, good evening, good morning, whenever it is you're listening. Let's see. I think I starred those because we're going to hit those. Let's see. We hear the squeak. Gio's been, Ray has been, everybody's talking about the organizations. Listening for support. What YouTube channel is that? Uh-oh. Which YouTube channel is which one? Which one did I have open? I can't even remember now. Let's go back and try to... Oh, we shouldn't do that. Let's do this over here. There. I don't think that put anybody's name in there. I don't think so. All right. So which channel was I just looking at? I was probably looking at... Oh, the reload? I might have been... I think I did open up the reload. They're all in the description of this video. That's the good news. Pretty much everything I've opened, I think, is in the description of this video. All right, so getting back to the list, we've got Riding Shotgun with Charlie, did his, I forget what it's called now. Oh, Armed Lifestyle Magazine interview with Cheryl and Danny Todd. Obviously filmed earlier this year, so I'm not sure what's up with that, but maybe he was scheduling some stuff because of Grpc and he knew he would be traveling. So it was a little weird only because when they recorded this, they could not have known, of course, that that's someone was going to pass away, and so that was a little kind of frustrating and weird. But anyway, they had a conversation there for about half an hour talking about their auction house and their experiences. Then we have Rogue Banshee. I just drank a bunch of coffee. So we had Rogue Banshee doing a, I don't know, he called it anti-gun tactics. Are they changing? But, you know, I'd like to chat with him sometime because I don't know. I mean, he talked about one thing, but they're changing in other ways for sure. So, and that's something that they didn't talk about at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. But I think what he was saying is that they're saying safety, and then he started talking about some organization for most of it. But I think that would be a good conversation to have. Anti-gun tactics would be a good one, and probably worth trying to write those down. I haven't done it in a while. I don't know if anybody else does try to write it down, but maybe one of the old Every Second Matters projects or iterations, we may have tried to write down the anti's tactics, but I don't know. I don't think we have. Well, let's see. So then we get the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So I just linked to two things here because we'll just leave it at that. You can go watch whatever you want from that. It was the Second Amendment Foundation spending money to bring people together, 150 people at a Texas hotel, and they offered 2 days worth of presentations, and then they had AmmCon, which was the up training and skill building development conference for Second Amendment activists on Friday. And those happened, and they'd streamed them, and a lot of us watched it, and I've offered to have conversations about it, so we'll see if they have conversations or if they're interested in having conversations about it. All right, so that was the 2A news. I don't think I missed anything, but I did try to do something a little different this week. I posted everything in Patreon over here without the pictures as a draft. And that doesn't mean much other than it's a different way for me to do this. Usually I don't do anything until Wednesday, and I put this together while I'm listening to the radio shows. But I couldn't because the way the work week worked out this week. So I decided to do it a different way by, like I say, putting it over and kind of adding to it. I started it earlier in the week and then added to it, and then didn't make the YouTube video until I think yesterday. And that part worked out. But there's still some pieces that take forever with this whole situation. And without some kind of response or some kind of feedback, it's getting to be too laborious to put it out to this many places. So, you know, we do these things as experiments. We've been online for a long time. We'll continue to put these things out, but probably in fewer formats unless Patreon say, oh no, hey, I was listening to that format. And then of course we'll keep doing it. But anyhow, so the 2A stuff, the effort is to get as much important 2A stuff out there, not reactionary 2A stuff, and certainly not boring, repetitive, regurgitated 2A stuff. So if I'm missing anything, this is supposed to be what's the word? It's supposed to be a summary of everything, not just the stuff I like. So feel free to let me know if you're following something that I should be following, or if you see something specifically. I do get people that drop me links. Krabby, I don't know if he's out there. Will drop me links once in a while. Some stuff that's interesting, so I do appreciate that. And anyway, I just wanted to mention that, you know, the 2A stuff is, I think, everything. But for some reason, I feel like I'm missing something. I guess that's why I'm beating around the bush here. Then we got the gun news. So the first thing in the gun news is Jenny J 1911. So here's the deal. You can go online and you can watch what's going on. You can go online and you can be a part of what's going on, right? You can go online and be suspect of everything that happens, and you can go online and be gullible, right? There's all different extremes. So you got to live somewhere in the middle and be happy and be smart, right? So I'm not a big fan of channels that exist and then do a lot of fundraising and stuff like that. I mean, it's probably legit most of the time, but then there's times when, how do you know? So this is this instance when I'm talking about a fundraising thing for a fairly new channel, because unless it's completely weird, then I just don't think it. I think it's legit. So anyway, Jenny had a death in the family, and she explains it in this 30-minute video. And when an authentic channel has something happen, it's these are a bunch of human beings, and they're human. So if you feel like going over and checking that out, you can. If you don't, I understand. So I'm just putting it in there to let people know that it's something that I have been in, it's been in our realm as well. So I can understand where she's dealing with and the situation she's got. And she's doing a fundraiser for, well, we'll let you decide if you want to go over and check it out or not. It's up to you. So with that being said, Eric had his birthday, and he does a thing where, I forget, does it say how long he's been doing this? 10 years or something, I think. But whenever Media Day was happening, and I think I told you Media Day, or if you've listened to stuff I've said before, Media Day at the range at SHOT Show. Remember we talked about SHOT Show? Media Day used to be really, really good. And now it's not. It's just more commercial or consumer. It used to be really fancy, and now it's not fancy anymore. So somewhere in there, Eric decided that Media Day was what it was, but it wasn't everything it could be. And this was before a lot of the other shoots that are going on. I mean, he was doing this a long time ago. So he started doing a thing where he would bring people together, and then eventually he moved it to his birthday, and then he just continued to do it. I've never had any interest in going. I don't go, but I know a lot of people dig it. So most people go there and do all of the stuff I don't dig and I don't do, right? Take selfies and look at stupid shit. So that's fine. That's what they go there for. Wheel did a cool thing where he just kind of went through his swag bag, but at the same time, you're also seeing the event in the background. And that's what I dig. I want to see what the event's like. I wish people would go to things and realize that who gives a shit about what you're looking at? Show us your experience, right? Like, show us what it's like to be there. Nobody gives a crap about what's on the table. We're going to see that from 1,000 other people, and they're probably going to do it better than you. So just look around. Tell us what's going on. Like, tell us what the event is like so that we can actually be there. And that's what Wield kind of did here. So wanted to post that. I don't really watch stuff from Eric's thing, but a bunch of people are out there doing it, so you can probably watch a bunch of that. Now, somebody who's bringing community together online and presenting and kind of exploring interesting stuff is Chris from 740. So he's been doing the reloading series for a while. This week, he brought together a bunch of people who were at this Carry Optics National, and really cool. I really dig his round tables. He brings everybody together with G23, and they, just shoot the shit for a couple hours, well, an hour and a half, and he hosts it in a what's the word, like what noise was that? I don't know if that was somebody yelling or a cat getting stepped on. It's not still happening, so it's probably just a cat. The way he does it's an informal panel, but the pace or the way that it works, it just is it's a really good one. I end up doing quite a bit of work when I'm listening to that one. I appreciate the people that do long format stuff, especially when they bring the community together. Anybody can watch prepared stuff. I mean, Hollywood makes prepared stuff that's awesome. So people that emulate the prepared stuff don't really impress me. And I'm definitely not interested in big, long commercials or big, long things that are designed to, make you get all upset about something. So I really like the authentic stuff. And I do appreciate people like Chris that are bringing people together consistently and then doing it with a purpose. He's really sharing parts of the community that not everybody is seeking out. Oh, there's Wield. Welcome. Good evening. I'm just talking about your video right here. Let's see. And then I also got a whole bunch, I don't know why, but Wield, you can see in his picture there, he's got the the logo, right? And a while ago, you sent me your first logo patches, the blue ones and the green ones, and I had posted about it on YouTube or on Instagram. I don't know, like a million years ago, whenever you sent me those. And for some reason, those got hit up. So I don't know if somebody, I don't know what happens, but that happens sometimes on socials. I had been looking at my numbers over on Instagram, and something came up and said, hey, look who's been clicking on your thing like 2 minutes ago. And it was a picture from a long time ago of your patches. So anyway, your patches are getting around out there somewhere. So speaking of getting around, Clover goes around looking at people and found this channel. She's got 88 subs, and it's a new gun channel, Pull the Trigger podcast. And this video is called Taking the Fear Out of Firearms, which is a book. And she does a quick review of the book. And it's not a book I would get, but guess what? I'm not a new gun owner. So, you know what I'm saying? It's interesting. I'd love to see that there's new people out there that are using the internet to share with each other, that aren't using the internet to sell you something or to, you know, some ulterior motive, just sharing an interest and, you know, having conversations. Super cool. Let's see. Next is something that you may or may not dig. Liberal Gun Club. There's two of them. There's Liberal Gun Club and there's Liberal Gun Owners. I'm going to keep prefacing that because I know one of them pisses me off and I don't know which one it is. I don't think it's this one, but I don't know. It's whichever one does the live shows. At some point, I'll have to go back and try to find the live shows that drove me nuts, that I had no interest in the organization pretty much after that, and figure out which organization it was. But because I can't remember which one it is, I go ahead and watch both of them anyway. So the Liberal Gun Club, which is the one out of California and has, oh dang, now I'm not going to remember her name, has the one who, the lawyer who we all know, who represents them. I can't think of her name. First one to think of her name wins. Anyway, they had Deviant Olamon, and this is a guy who's been a lockpick and penetration tester and social engineer, whatever you want to call it, for a long time on the internet, and got hooked up with the Liberal Gun Club, and that's a Reese's peanut butter cup if I ever seen one. Like, they really dig each other and they enjoy informing each other or whatever. So it's an hour with Deviant. The dude just kind of exploring or explaining his experience traveling with firearms. And this guy travels a lot with a lot of firearms. So very interesting conversation for sure. Not up everybody's alley, but lot of hacks in there, a lot of interesting stuff. Now, completely different, jumping over to Wilson Combat, they had Ken Hackathorn on talking about a bunch of his favorite guns. So basically, it's just a bunch of his weird stuff, like some of the craziest stuff in his collection. Now, I don't think he's got everything that he ever had before. He even talks about it in the video. But yeah, some interesting stuff. Brand 10, some other things. Then we got Gabby, who did a video about, it's like a 59-second short, effectively, except it's not a short, so I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, trigger finger discipline, right? And sometimes I like posting these because they're fun to watch, because it's cool to see the ways that people use tech and, you know, technology creatively to get information across. Back in the day, getting your finger off the trigger would have been some kind of, maybe if you're lucky, a drawing in a book, but mostly they would just tell you that, and then that was it. So nowadays you get, you know, somebody making a video about it, somebody saying it in an interesting way, and somebody giving you some maybe some insight as to why it's important or how to remember it or something. Again, it's, never know what new people are going to be absorbing and at what pace. And keeping your finger off the trigger is one of those things that should probably be said over and over and over, just in case they haven't heard it, right? It didn't get through. So anyway, it's interesting. And not sure with some of the instructors or some of the people I follow, especially people that don't broadcast their agenda. I mean, some people, you know exactly why they're posting their videos. I mean, there is no doubt you know exactly why they're posting their videos. Other people, you know, you can't tell what video they're going to post. You could never know what video they're going to post next and when. And when you look at them, often you're like, what was that about? Because they're just doing videos for whatever reasons they feel like. And sometimes those people are a little bit closer to being a professional. I think that's where Gabby's at. She doesn't really put up videos that have no reason, or like completely useless, but she will do things that are, you know, for different projects or for different reasons. And she'll just use her Instagram account, or her YouTube account, I should say, like a tool, which is really, you know, what it is really. All right, I'm moving my mic around. I don't know if that helped or if that was any worse. Did anybody give me feedback before? Let's see. So now Glock made a rifle. I figure I should say that for the logarithms. Rokal made a big deal about how he went viral with it. So, you know, some of those things, if you're standing around long enough, somebody might come by and make something you said go viral. And it's fun when people we know get a chance to get in on that. So Foss has had some stuff. His barbecue had some stuff go viral, I think. I don't know if DJ has. Gizzard has, I'm sure. I don't know if Wheeled, have you had anything go viral yet? And then I don't know if Smeggy posts enough to have something gone viral. G23? I don't know. But anyway, like I say, it's fun to see when people go viral or whatever. You never can tell, that's the thing. So, you know, just keep posting weird stuff and eventually something might catch. Like White may or may not still be out there. It's his last day of vacation. I didn't know that until earlier, but I felt like posting his picture of his puppy here. So just in case anybody hasn't seen his vacation puppy pictures, it's an excuse to post another puppy on the internet. I've been told you're not supposed to post puppies on the internet.
There's the pirates. You see the pirates?
I don't know how old that puppy is. Has Mike ever said? All right, next is This Old Gun. So Cape Gunworks does a thing called This Old Gun. I don't know how long they've been doing it. I thought at one point I saw something like a number of shows or episodes or something, but I think it's pretty cool to do like a This Old Gun, you know, like This Old House. And this guy seems to be like an expert on all bunch of different kind of guns. So he usually goes out there and shoots them, then talks about them a little bit. Some of them I'm more interested than others, but they've done a couple of Ring of Fires and some other stuff I've been interested in. You know, this is a Beretta, so you can only be so interested in a Beretta. Then you got another gun shop. And this is the gun section of everything. Oh, there's Nightcrawler. Good evening. What was up with that tunnel the other day? You were like revving up the engine in that tunnel. I wasn't sure what that was all about. Will is saying my Bull Armory Viper got 25,000 views, but not truly viral. Well, that's pretty damn good. I mean, I don't know what the number's supposed to be to go viral. Viral's probably got some threshold, but 25,000 is pretty damn good. I don't get videos. I don't have that many. Well, I mean, I have videos that go that high, but after years, that's pretty freaking good. Is that, oh wait, is that because you put something out right away somewhere? Is that what it is? Because sometimes that's the way to get it. You know, you put something out before everybody else, that helps. Or at least that's a good strategy or good odds or whatever. I guess it's not for sure. But anyhow, so we got another gun shop. This one is Gun for Hire. And this is a big giant gun shop in New Jersey, right outside of New York. I think Tony said it's like an hour from the downtown New York. So it's very close to New York. And this is where Tony Simon started doing the diversity shoots. And a couple other reasons. I've been following this account for a while. I've met the guy when he came out here to go to the NRA meetings in Tucson when the NRA was doing weird stuff in 2020 and moved their meeting thing or whatever over to here. I met this guy. I gave him a copy of the 50 States book because there's an illustration of his gun shop in there. Let's see. Oh, I cut out my converter. Oh, okay. Let's see. So then we got the radio shows. Here's the problem. I was listening to gun rights policy, and then I had to not listen to anything for a while because I'm not saying it ruined me or it burned me out, but I was sick of listening to stuff. So I went and did some stuff in real life. So I didn't listen to any of the radio shows this weekend. If I did, I don't remember them. I might have listened to some of the California one, but I think I was gone for most of them. So there's a weekend where I don't have much, or that last weekend, I don't have much to tell you about the radio shows. They were probably good. But I did listen to Cape Gun Works because that happens on Wednesday. And that's usually when I schedule, I'll do most of my updates and stuff so I can listen to that show. It's usually 2 hours, sometimes longer. So you can get quite a bit of work done listening to that show. But it's a great show. It's a gun shop in Massachusetts that does a radio show once a week. It's syndicated in a bunch of different places, and they record their show on Wednesdays, and they record it on, like, while they're recording the show, they're live on YouTube, they're streaming it, and they're able to keep up. Toby's able to keep up with the comments and keeping the show on track and talking to guests and then dealing with questions that get called in. And then they record the hour's worth of show and then another hour's worth of podcast and then a little bit more sometimes. And then that gets distributed to the radio stations and broadcast over the weekend. So you can listen to the radio version of it over the weekend in Boston and all around. But the show itself gets recorded on Wednesday. And like I say, I usually schedule that time for some of my work. So I end up listening to that every week. So normally, though, there are gun radio shows from Texas. Come and Talk It is in Austin, and they do a cool show. There's the I Am the Target Radio out of Ohio that does their show on Sundays. Amanda Suffolk and her brother. She's the first female nationally syndicated radio show that's focused on firearms. And then that Gun Owners Radio out of San Diego does a pretty awesome show too for a couple of hours after those. That all happens on Sunday, and I missed them all this week. All right, next is military interviews. I listened to quite a few of these, and there were some good ones this week. These weren't the best ones ever, but they were all right. So the first one is there's two of them from Team House here. Wait, I got two of. I guess all I have is two of them from Team House. What was the Combat Story? I'm trying to remember. Combat Story was pretty good though too. So anyway, the first one, I don't know if I even listened to it actually. I might have to listen to this Marine turned journalist again. I think I listened to it, but I was I had my mind on too many different things listening to it. This one though, the dude who was a ranger, 1,000 missions. How crazy is that? So 13 deployments with 75th Rangers. Pretty good conversation. And then today they just had some CIA guy on. Holy moly. He got super drunk and it was weird. Interesting stuff. Good data, but hard to listen to and super weird with the guy being drunk. I really recommend these military interviews. What'll happen is people are getting out of the military and they've had interesting careers. They've had interesting jobs, lots of insight. And one of the ways that they deal with going from, 100 miles an hour, doing lots of different things, having a lot of responsibility. Think about a pilot. They're dealing with $1 million airplane or maybe probably multi-million-dollar airplane. And they're making decisions for that. They crash their airplane, they get another airplane. Like they're dealing with a lot of responsibility, a lot of stuff happening. They've got a lot of consequences and a lot of stuff that happens after the fact, a lot of echoes, right, in their lives. So as they come out, as they're retiring or, transitioning out of the military, depending on if they're injured or how the injuries are, they've got their own struggles or challenges coming out. And then you don't even have to have gone through trauma to just have gone from a life where everything is done for you and kind of planned out. And then you get to do everything yourself, have to do everything yourself, right? It's just a tough transition for some. And one of the ways that some are able to deal with that is listening to the So these military interviews are on multiple levels affecting the society in a positive way. So they're offering the insight and the awareness of what's been going on in the military. We have a much different military than we used to. I say military because it's every branch, and there's new branches. People don't even know we have, they know about Space Force, but very few of them know about special operations. So we have whole different branches of the military because we fight in a completely different way than we used to. And what that creates is a different type of burnout and a different kind of wearing out of our soldiers. The people who go and do are expected to do and perform at a different level than in the days when you had a shovel and a rifle and 100 of you were going to go into a town. It's a little bit different than 12 of you are going to take 80 pounds of stuff or 180 pounds of stuff each and go affect change and then come home and teach the people on your way out. And then a couple of cycles later, your children might be there. A couple of more cycles later, we're just going to leave everything and book. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's just, people are dealing with that. So one of the things it offers is some insight to all that, but it also gives the folks coming out a way to hear other people's stories and other people's transitionings and other people's awarenesses and successes and failures, and then some inspiration with the different businesses and things. And then it's also offering a lot of, when you watch somebody who's on a show, they'll be on one show, then they might be interviewed by another set of shows and then another set of shows, and you get more insight to their story, but then you also find out about those interviewers, and it's just interesting. So it's not very often that you get to hear something interesting over and over from the same person by different interviewers. And it might seem lame, but it's actually really interesting to just be able to see the different layers and the different ways that people's interview style can bring out so much more out of the same person, because the same person had the same experiences and they're willing to share the same stuff. But if they're going to talk to this guy or those two guys or that guy, they're going to have a different conversation. And it may not be 100% 2A. I mean, most of the time, something about guns comes up at some point in these conversations. But the things you might be able to glean from this are, I think, probably more worthwhile in the big picture than if you were listening to people talk about, I don't know, fixing boats or going fishing or talking about airplanes or, you know what I mean? Like just talking about regular stuff. Some of the things that soldiers experience being there and having their hands in it, having to deal with it, and the doldrums and the other, the big and the little is giant. I mean, there's some really interesting insight. So anyway, I can't say enough how great these interviews are. There was nothing like this back in the day. Nothing like it. We live in a really, really cool time in 2022 where we are able to understand and be aware of just so much more than we could have ever been in the past. All right, so jumping back over, I was working on my truck and had a husky walk in and said hello. Just got there through the night, and she had a chip, and the owners came. Oh, right on, cool. Well, she probably walked away because, from what I understand, huskies are the kind of dogs, and I can tell from this one that they're the kind of dogs that are like, well, you know what? I guess I live here now. Like they don't really care. Sometimes. Have I seen Task and Purpose? Oh, I think I don't know. I might be thinking of a different one. So I'm not sure, but definitely I have not watched it. If it's the one I'm thinking of, no, you know what? I think, oh man, I can't remember. There's another one that has like a name like that, something and something, but I don't watch either one of them. So the answer to your question is no. The only ones I've listened to are the Team House. I really, really enjoy. It's a Ranger and a Green Beret. And then Combat Story, which is the guy who's an Apache helicopter pilot, and then he was in the CIA. He just has a great interview style. And then, because he just shuts up and lets the other person talk, but normally. And then I've listened to Mike from, what is Mike's thing called? Oh, the Mic Drop. And, he's a SEAL. So if I got to not listen to one, it's usually his, but I get blown away. Every time he does a really long interview and he asks people about like their morning routine and their diet and their like exercise and stuff. So It might seem lame, but I really do enjoy listening to that. You can use that as a calibration. When somebody says their morning routine and their types of diet and their exercises and stuff, right off the bat, it's a calibration device that a lot of the other ones don't use. And that's why I say you can listen to Mic Drop, get that calibration. Now you understand that person. Now, Mike is usually going to ask them about dogs, and he's going to ask them, the crazy stuff. He's going to ask them regular, it's pretty decent interviews, but it's not always on point. He'll go to a combat story, or the person will go to combat story, and they're only going to get asked about their combat experience. So it's just really, really interesting to listen to these things. If you got the time, like I say, I end up doing a lot of computer work. So when I've got the computer stuff working, I've got to be, well, some of you have seen over my shoulder. Sometimes it's a lot of repetitive, boring stuff. So you have plenty of time to listen to things. And these shows, like say, offer a lot of insight. All right. Speaking of a lot of insight, we're about an hour in. I think I did pretty good trying to keep this to an hour today. We did some stuff this week. I mentioned earlier that I had found this research finally about how much the media has spent time and money on focusing on mass murderers with guns. And I found this Reason TV article that jumped me over to the research, and I read through that. I recorded it. I have not had time to post that anywhere, but it took about a half an hour to read it. So I don't know if anybody's up right now that cares about having stuff read, but I was thinking I'd post that as a separate video, just the reading of that research. And the research is called something, I forget what it's called, but it's about mass murders and how much effort the media spends on them and if they're responsible at all. And it effectively asks the media to use the same discretion that they would use when discussing rape or other atrocities. So it seems as though when it's a gun, well, it is evidence that when it's a gun murder, especially a mass murder with guns, they don't pay attention to their own code of ethics that they established in 1994 or something, or 1984, whenever it was that the media created their thing of ethics. They're just specifically not abiding by their own code of ethics. And I thought that was an interesting concept, that the research is suggesting that the media should pay attention to their code of ethics and not disclose some things like the names and the faces and the details that would allow someone who wants to fetishize or emulate the evil, give them the tool, the specifics to do that. And so we had a conversation about it, and Jim Irving came on from Irvine. I'm never going to be able to say it right. I don't say people's names good. From Faster Saves Lives, and from the Buckeye Firearms Association, Second Amendment activist. Well, I think I've mentioned that Goal and Buckeye, actually, I think I've said Goal, but it's actually Buckeye that was, Buckeye had the quotes. Like if you watch any of our old videos and people were like, oh, you used to put a quote at the end of the videos. Why don't you do that anymore? Mainly because it takes a lot of time. And that was like literally a lot of time to make every single video separate like that. And I got a lot of those quotes from the Buckeye Firearms Association. So they were already up and running, doing cool stuff, posting gun quotes, back in when YouTube was barely first starting. So they've been doing cool stuff for a long time. So it was definitely awesome to be able to talk with Jim. But what we were talking about was the idea that this research came out this research exists, that the media spends so much time and effort. The question is it a valid tactic? Is it something that we can have success with talking to anti-gunners? Like if an anti-gunner says something, is it a good reply or is it a good tack to say, well, the media spends more attention on gun murderers than it does on the Super Bowl? Is that going to be a good reply? Is that going to have effect? And that was what the conversation was intended to be about. So again, I appreciate the people that joined us for that and are willing to focus on something that isn't, news of the day or whatever trendy stuff everybody else is talking about. Then we've got our presentation to AmmCon, which we didn't get to present. I think I might have presented, or I might have showed a link to this last week now that I think about it. But either way, there's another link to it. I posted a blast from the past. Sometimes people will comment on something, or for some reason, one of my old videos gets put in front of me. So this is a video from, I don't know, a long time ago. A video from... Markets are down. Buy the dip. Buy the dips. That's a commercial. This is a video from 2014. Are you kidding? It's making me watch my own commercial. It's messed up. All right, this is a video from 2014, before it was cool to do shorts.
All right, we have exclusive coverage of the newest single stack 380 Glock. So it's made by Colt, but you can see that it's a lower, is all polymer, and it's single stack, so it's a Glock, but it's made by Colt. So I guess it's a Glock 1911 and 380, because it's all polymer, so it's a Glock, but it's made by Colt. So there you go. Single action, single stack, 380, all polymer. I can only assume Colt is now Glock, or Glock is now Colt, one of the two. Thanks for watching.
The guys and gals of gun websites encourage you to take a CCW course every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.
Yep, 2014. Let's see how many comments. 24 comments, 8,000 views. So the first Glock Colt polymer video ever. And then I was posting a link to the December 16th auction up at Pot of Gold. I'm hopefully going to be bringing some more stuff up to auction off, try to kill some more bills. So I appreciate the people that are either purchasing stuff, bidding on stuff over there, or getting the word out on it so that that stuff gets as most money as possible. It's definitely helping us stay alive with the declining other things that are out there and the way the prices and blah, blah, blah. But with the goal on making Second Amendment awareness great again. I'm not saying that. Or at least making Second Amendment awareness our focus. We'll continue to do that as long as possible. And thanks to Pot of Gold and the people that purchase stuff over there, our auctions over there, that are making that at least, become still a thing. As you can see, our Patreons are down to 138. So while we appreciate the people that are able to and have supported us in the past, we understand that with times and everything, it's tough. Hopefully it's not because of our content, but we understand. So again, thanks to the people that super chat. So with that, I'm going to bring over the super chat deal. And I guess you don't really need to see that, but I'm going to go back over to here and count everything again. Because I can't remember from 5 minutes ago what number I counted to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Does that sound right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. What the hell? Why can't this thing just tell me how many it is instead of me having to do this counting? So if we start right here, there's no way for me to check anything, but I can start it here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a better way to do it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a better way to do it. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is the number then. So 18 is the number. Oh, clear that. I should not have cleared that because I needed that open. All right. Task and purpose is an officer that has knowledge on Ukraine and weapon systems. Oh, okay. Then no, I haven't watched that one. I watched a guy who works for an AK builder, and he posts a lot of interesting stuff about what's going on over there with like weapons that are being seized and found and discovered, and ordnance that gets dropped and doesn't go off, and people will take pictures of it, and then the people look at it and stuff like that. It's interesting. I can't keep up with it all. It's like looking at CZs or something. I'm like, oh, interesting. And then I forget about it as soon as I'm done looking at it. But it is interesting. Let's see. I was going over to do random. Well, if you just type in random, it'll just give you a random number. But I'm going over here. Hey, we'll type in 18. I will say number 1 is the top, and then number 18 would be all the way going down. So we'll see who our super chat of the week is. 11. So that gives us something to count. Starting at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this would have been on September 11th. And it is Woods. So I don't know if Woods is still awake, if he's still out there or not, but he just won the thing, which I didn't say. Did I say what it was? I guess I probably should have said what it was. So that was probably not good. I probably should have picked something first. So if you got something in mind, of course, you're welcome to it. Otherwise, damn it, I probably should come up with a prize before I do stuff like this. I don't know. I already sent you the book, so it's possible that I forgot to send you bayonets because I am good at forgetting things, but I have everything in the drawer. But dang, I need to start doing a prize before I come up with the drawing or whatever. So we're an hour and 22 in. I should be able to finish this whole thing up in 90 minutes today if we can answer these questions in less than 8 minutes. So Fielding had asked, who is the best speaker at GRPC last weekend? Dan and Donald were what I enjoyed the most. Interesting. So now I need to go over to Second Amendment Foundation GRPC agenda. And when we come up with the GRPC 2002 agenda, which here's the link to anybody who might want it. This is this one. So Dan and Donald. Oh, okay. Wait. Don Kilmer and Dan Schmutter. Yeah. Okay. I know who you're talking about now. So this is the conversation with lawyers from... No, wait. Are they lawyers? Yeah, they're lawyers. They say attorneys for the Second Amendment Foundation, but like one of them was a lawyer in like New Jersey, and the other one I can't remember where he is a lawyer, Pennsylvania or something like that. But I think we were talking over them. So who was the best speaker? Rhonda Mary, period. But I don't know that these guys weren't good also. So I went back and listened to all of AmmCon for a second time. I have not listened to all of GRPC a second time. And I was gone for chunks of it. And wait, was I gone for a chunk of it? Yeah, I went to the store or something. So I was gone for a chunk of it when I went to the store. And I was talking over a chunk of it too. And there's some people I'm not going to listen to. I just ain't. But I'm going to go back and definitely listen to people who I would have listened to if I wasn't bullshitting on my own chat while they were talking. But to be fair, what the hell? It was a weekend full of halfway boring stuff, and I'm normal, so I have to talk to people, especially if I'm watching stuff that's bogus. And a lot of the stuff we watched was bogus, unfortunately. But no, I remember that being something everybody was jazzed about, and I remember in the comments people were like, "Oh, good, these guys are awesome," about both of those guys, I think. But I need to go back. I can't say that. I mean, I doubt that anything they said can make me go, "Oh, they're the best thing," because Rhonda Mary was actually talking about ways to change and be better. These guys probably talked about ways to be good and like do stuff good, but I usually like to be blown away before I say it's the best. But I don't know. I'm going to go listen to it again. I'll probably wait until Paul reposts them, just because I'm not going to dig through and find them. It's probably, what was that, on Sunday? No, that was Saturday. So that would be probably, oh no, wait, was that Sunday? Come on, where's the thing? Saturday. 4:15.5, Sunday. Okay, so no, that would have been just after lunch on Saturday. If Paul does, I mean, Paul will post that, but if he doesn't for some reason, I'll be listening to that anyway, because that was one of the things I wanted to listen to again. And then, well, anyway, so yeah, I would definitely listen to it. As I've been saying that, I don't know if anybody else has been saying who they thought was so good. California and New Jersey? Okay, thanks. I didn't remember the other state. So yeah, definitely be listening to that. Oh, there's our for Mississippi Thunder. Good evening. All right, and then BH from NH had asked earlier, way at the beginning of the show, no possession of firearms in Massachusetts, or saying no, possession of firearms in Massachusetts, licensing denial, misdemeanor possession denial. It was remanded yesterday to the first court after the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. Major case, way beyond any bump stock. Well, I don't know. So here's the deal. I don't think it's able. I don't think we're able to say which is more valuable or which is best or, which is more important or anything like that. Everything can have consequences. And because we can't see the future, we don't know what those consequences might be. So let's just go ahead and assume everything's important to some extent, realizing that some things are more urgent or whatever, like some things can be larger than others. But I don't think we do ourselves any favors by discounting anything. Does that make another way to say it? So as far as the Massachusetts one, like I said, I just got done having like a really long conversation about Massachusetts law in general. It really wasn't about specific happenings. It might have come up. Toby may have talked about, the changing of or the potential changes, because we had this conversation last week. Whatever happened recently hadn't happened yet, but still, we were really talking about the status of Massachusetts law, not so much the current Massachusetts law, recent events or anything. So that's one of those things, every second matters. We've talked about doing that. I just haven't had the ability to spend time on it this year. One of my goals for this year was to change every second matters into a bulletin board type of system, like the Hate Jackass system, and attempt to get some people, because there's no way I can maintain that. I can build it potentially, or at least get it started, but maintaining it is insane. That would take many, many people. So I attempted to try to get some people started. It's very difficult, when you don't have anything except goodwill and the satisfaction of a job well done. It's tough to get people to be able to coordinate, to be able to be ambitious and able on cue. If you have a specific task and something, it's a little easier, but still difficult. And we never had a specific anything. So we never even got past the theoretical, let's get this thing to the next level. But in lieu of that, I don't want to say anybody's got any more or more important or more urgent or more valid even. I mean, I don't know. I guess like I say, there's got to be some ways to determine, and it'll also matter who's making the determination. If a court case is about Washington State, everybody in Washington State certainly cares about that, no matter what the rest of the country thinks about its priority or its urgency or whatever. So that's something else, Is that something that's going to change? No. Is it something that we've always had? Yeah. Is it something that can be dealt with? Yeah, of course. I mean, if Amazon can figure out how to send things and save gas, then why can't we figure out how to make our time spent on 2A as efficient as possible? If we can, everybody throws $5 into a pile so that $5,000 worth of stuff can get done. Why can't we do that with an hour? And everybody throws an hour into a project, and now that project had 5,000 hours of accomplishment. So there's ways to deal with some of the stuff I'm blabbing about, I guess. All right, so I have to remember that Woods won, and I'll have to write that somewhere so that I remember. I'll write it on a little card. And again, then I have to remember what to give him. Somebody has any ideas of what to give Woods, let me know. Is the super chat random winner. And this is 10-7. So again, thanks to the people that support what we're doing with the subscriptions over on Patreon or other ways that people throw a couple of bucks at us each month. It is appreciated. It's the only way we're able to spend our time on stuff like this. And then to the people at Super Chat, our videos. We don't get a ton of them, and they are definitely appreciated. Again, when those checks come in each month, they go straight to bills, and that gives us time to pay attention to this stuff instead of the more boring stuff that would be out there. All right, with that, I guess we're about wrapping it up. If anybody else had any other questions, you had your opportunity to say them. Nope, this is just Nightprowl talking about his truck. I don't think that's a question, and I think that's it. So again, thanks everybody for showing up, watching, and listening. If you're out there in the future listening to this thing through your ears or eyeballs, feel free to leave us some comments wherever it is you pick this stuff up. I think we missed last week because of AmmCon and gun rights policy. I didn't post everything. So this week, when I'm listening to the Sunday stuff, more than likely, maybe the Saturday stuff, I will. Well, there's a overnight this week, so maybe I will. Sometimes during the overnight, I'm able to. It takes a couple hours, so it depends on how long the show is. But I'm able to pull all the podcasts down, shove them all back up into the podcast system, and then start associating them all out to the different places they need to go. It's not super difficult. It's actually super easy, but it takes time. It just takes a bunch of clicky, click, 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 click. Wait, click, a bunch of that kind of crap. So again, I'll be doing that. And if you're out there listening on one of those, then give us some feedback, because that lets us know where it's worth putting them out there and where it ain't. And you're not hearing this, but if all of a sudden you quit hearing what we're talking about, right? So the people that have already quit hearing this didn't hear that. But if you're hearing this and in sometime in the future you go to look for the podcast and ain't there no more, might be because nobody said, hey, we're listening over here. That's all I'm looking for. Just let me know you're there. Or if you got some kind of constructive advice, criticism, or some insight, something to add to the show, certainly interested in that. That's why those comment things are out there. So again, thanks to the people that like, listen, subscribe, and whatever it's called, use the bell to be alerted. Thanks to the people that throw us a cup of coffee, or some people even throw us lunch each month. That is what makes it possible for us to do this. And people that buy stuff over at our store. I don't think anybody bought anything this week. Let me go double check real quick. But Smeggy saying he listens here. I think most people listen in live end up listening YouTube. But like I say, I'm kind of, sending that out to the future for people that might be out there listening. Oh, we did get some orders from the store. Thank you for that. And wait a minute. Oh yeah, I think we'll definitely be hooking that person up with extra free patches and stuff. All right, well, thanks again, everybody who's watching and listening, and we'll be back to pick you up later.
Tonight's episode, That Was No Lady.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like I wanted to do something more in this show, and I can't remember what it is. Well, I think I started this show with recommended, or at least at the beginning of the show, I recommended, let's say you got a puppy walking around. It could be a kitten, I guess. But let's say you got a puppy walking around, or maybe it's your wife or your significant other. Grab them, hug them, and appreciate them.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com. Do 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 do.